We have plenty of evidence that only weird games can be a bit of a fickle beast. Sometimes Seth is being a lawyer or a perfect father or a adequate husband, the things that make him busy. Sometimes Nate Taylor's out on the road. He's in an airport. He's writing for the Mouse now. I mean,
Yep.
I'm at home in this chair most of the time, so I tend to be around because I don't have those kinds of top tier responsibilities. Sometimes it's just how it goes. Podcasting is an up and down business. And I feel like, we have a loving, understanding, forgiving, in fact, live chat here on the KCSN YouTube channel. And if you're an audio-only listener, you might not really care when we start, as long as the show's in your podcast feed when you expect it to. And I think, most of the time, we're all getting along fine. We're all doing our best. We're all here to make some excellent content about a silly sport where the ball isn't round. And then sometimes at 4:55 p.m., 10-ish minutes after the show's supposed to have started and hasn't yet, I see a comment like this one from Jake Dennis. If Juwan Taylor can start on time this week, you guys should be able to. Thanks, Jake.
Love you too, Jake.
We also aren't able to, so checkmate. Only weird games, just me and Nate Taylor today. Seth's out saving lives or putting people in prison or learning. I don't know. I don't ask anymore. Sometimes he says I got lawyer stuff, and I go, that's enough, man. I don't really. Most of your stories are sad, so we move on from those. Right. Nate, not a sad time for the Chiefs right now. We got an extra day to prep for a little Monday Night Football. The vibes have turned in a proper direction, and you're out on the road somewhere, out in the grand wilds, where I can tell you've clearly been getting some work done.
Yeah, so kids, I've podcasted here on rare occasion a few times. I'm at the Hideaway, so Google that. Say, put in Kansas City, then put in Hideaway, and then if you see this building over here, you might be able to find me. So, because I don't want to give up the spot. The spot is so nice. I think I did one interview of the franchise here. And I didn't want to tell the Chiefs videographers where I work from time to time. I'm saying, I don't want you guys knowing about this because it's not that far away from the stadium. All right, fine. Put in Crown Center Hideaway. Whoa! You might be able to find me or this lovely place of work. So yeah, the Mouse. As I told Tucker and Josh. The Mouse said the Mouse needs a story today. So you're hearing this now, whether that's Thursday, Friday, or sometime in between now and the game on Monday. What I need you to do, the Girl on Fire 25, is yes, you need to reactivate your ESPN account. Mostly because the team that you root for that has Patrick Mahomes is going to play a football game that counts on ABC and ESPN at 7:25 local Central Time against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And you know what? Kind of need ESPN to get all the coverage that you might want of said sporting event that is incredibly important for the team at this stage in the season. Quick side note, Girl on Fire 25. If you reactivate your ESPN account, you could use ESPN. You could use Disney Plus. Hell, you could even use Hulu to watch The Kingdom, the 6-part documentary series on the Kansas City Chiefs, featuring, some would say starring, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, Mark Donovan, Steve Spagnuolo, Clark Hunt. That's core 7 already of the 9. And I'm kind of like I'm a supporting actor in the documentary series. So I mean, get that thing reactivated.
Look, man, these hands are meant to type, but that face was meant to be on ESPN, Disney Plus, Hulu, all of the different places that you can go to witness it. And now you may even go, oh, that's where Nate was broadcasting from the Hideaway, or it was doing his interview from the Hideaway, and you'll be able to piece all of this together.
Yeah, plus
No, look, this
we play
is
fantasy football. We got the NFL's database now. You got to have that for your fantasy team account. Have I given you enough reasons to give us, or the mouse, not me, to give the mouse its money? Please.
let's see those clicks. Woohoo!
It keeps a roof on my head.
Keep them coming. Woohoo! You want Nate to keep having a roof over his head? Ha!
Be nice.
Anyway, man, we miss Seth sometimes in those lulls, don't we? Because he'd just come in and start talking about Noah Williams. There'd be nothing we could do about it.
Right.
Nate, one thing that we confirmed earlier as we were show prepping, a thing that we do occasionally do, much to the dismay of everyone listening right now who cannot possibly believe that to be true. We did agree on what kind of news there was for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's not new news today. It's no news. The injury report has one real note on it. Christian Fulton was limited in practice today. So I imagine that kind of throws him up in the air. Well, we'll just see where he is over the next few days. You've got until Monday. But Mike Dana, a full participant. And really, Nate, I'm curious, and obviously everything's delayed by a day because they play on Monday night, so you've only had one full day of in-house pressers earlier today. Tomorrow, Friday, will be, air quotes, Thursday. Because not even the Gregorian calendar is more powerful than the NFL, so you're just going to have Sundays on Mondays and Fridays on Saturdays. It's just how it goes. But this is your first time back in the building there since the win over the Ravens, and I am getting the feeling through and through here that this is the best the vibes have been at Arrowhead since the season began, and it's a pretty clean injury report as well. What was it like out there for the pressers today, getting into the locker room and kind of seeing where this team's at right now?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. The vibes are pretty excellent considering they're now 2-2. They know Rashee Rice is in the building, as we talked about last week, so he's in meetings. He can't be doing anything on the field, but he's in meetings, going through the film work, obviously starting to understand how game plans are coming together from a coaching perspective. As you said, no injuries of real significance. There's still, I think, a pretty good chance that Christian Fulton plays to some capacity in Monday's game. He's got the ankle injury. The Chiefs would like to see him and Noah Williams be available alongside Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson as like your core four cornerbacks. With everything that has gone on through the first 4 weeks, I think I texted you and Tucker that like it's kind of a good thing that there's no news after the month we just went through, right? With the Rashee suspension, being international, abroad to start your actual regular season against a divisional opponent that, we all expected to be, pretty competitive. You've gotten through some of the lulls of the offense, but at the same time, the defense has come together. Now the offense had its best game. There's a real preparation to the Chiefs, understanding that the Jacksonville Jaguars, although they are a very tricky team to figure out, they have clearly gained the respect because they're 3-1, and they've been able to have plenty of success their own on defense. So yeah, there's no news. They are as collectively put together as they could have hoped to have been 4 weeks into the season, even though the record is technically 2-2.
And that's why I want to here in a few minutes to kind of do like a resetting of the season, resetting expectations, and kind of just, I don't know, recalibrating even to where this team actually is now, because from the very first moment, not even before the first moment of the season was weird because it was Brazil and it was a Friday night, a Friday that was a Sunday, which means that the Thursday's a Sunday. But like you go through, and none of these are excuses, obviously. I hope that's evident. The Chargers started their season on a Friday in Brazil. Now they didn't have their first big toe stub until they went to MetLife in New Jersey and lost to a Jackson Dart-led Giants team that suddenly has helped even out the playing field a little bit in the AFC West. But again, before we are looking forward more, I do find it to be a really interesting time to look back, because I think, I know I feel this way. I think a lot of Chiefs fans were feeling this way on Tuesday, last episode, but now being further removed from the Ravens game, hearing how people have talked about Baltimore and the injuries and Lamar Jackson and moving the goalposts up for them a little bit and kind of all, the place that the Ravens and the Texans and other teams like that are in right now, that seems like real tumult. Like those seem like teams that really could have one more bad game and then you just start talking about the draft. The Chiefs here at 2-2, the Chiefs at 2-2 have some of the best vibes in football. And that doesn't always mean best teams in football. Right now, the Giants have better vibes than the Chargers do, I think, because you got what you wanted in that one game. But man, I find it so fascinating to think that
you kind of got what you wanted in the game previously because that led to the Jackson Dart change at quarterback. See what I'm saying?
The Giants, the most optimistic Giants fan, Brian Daboll doesn't think Jackson Dart's taking him to the playoffs this year. Give me something though, man. Like save my job, look good, and let's build. But like, correct. I think all of our analysis through the first 2-3 weeks of the season was really good. Like I think we nailed it, guys. I think that we were correctly acknowledging where the weaknesses were in these games with the close margins and all of that. But this doesn't feel like a 500 football team right now, at least from the outside. And again, hearing like, not that Andy Reid was. I was gonna say he was cracking jokes. He had a joke or two there today, actually. It just feels like between him and Mahomes and
had a nice smile today. It was great. He just he's kind of grinning through answers.
That wasn't there in week 2. That's new.
Correct. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that it seems like the water has begun to rise again. Everybody's floating a little bit more. And again, I don't know if I know you've got like stuff coming out for this story that is now in the Mouse's inbox. But was there anything else that kind of did stand out from these last couple of days, either in just kind of reevaluating where the league's at right now or just in the locker room today and the vibes that were felt in there?
Yeah. For now, after 4 games, it appears, and I know we talked about this on Tuesday, like, hey, at least for the offense, it felt like this is what they've been practicing and working towards for the entire offseason training camp, of course, with Xavier Worthy being a focal point of the offense. Now, as we turn the page to Jacksonville, it feels like the Chiefs finally know who they are, and it took 4 games. And that is unusual considering that, hey, it might take them 2 games. There was a year, a couple years ago, where they came into Jacksonville 0-1 after the, talk about a weird start to your season. Travis Kelce has a random knee injury on the Friday before the opener. Chris Jones, of course, is watching his teammates
on a Friday that was a Wednesday, I believe, right?
Yes, yeah, correct.
The season opening game.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday. It was a Tuesday because the season opened on a Thursday. Such a good point. Oh, yes. Where Chris Jones is watching the game from the suite wedged between the Katz brothers. That's right, Pass Lou, Katz brothers Thursday. It was interesting that, like, the Katz brothers, I think both of them were there. Maybe one of them was there. I saw one post-game Sunday, and it was clear that, like, my thought was like, wow, did the Katz brothers attend the funeral too? And I think they did. One of them did.
At least one of them. At least one of them, I believe. I believe it may have been your colleague Adam Schefter, who I think said that one of them was like texting with him from the funeral, which is why I haven't made any jokes about his agents in the last 2 shows. And they have a 2-show, and it seems like they handled that well, and everybody got the business done. And so they have a 2-show free pass of me not making any jokes about those 2 agents.
So again, didn't get a chance to really say hello, but yes, he was at the funeral. They got on the plane together. They got off the plane into the car. Police escorted to the stadium. Again, pristine, well executed logistical plan coming together from yours truly, the Katz brothers. In accordance with the Kansas City Chiefs, or in association, I should say, with the Kansas City Chiefs. So think about it. They went to Jacksonville. They were 0-1. I think was it Iron Eagle who said Travis Kelce had scored into a blank space, which was like the first real indication that like Okay, even people in the NFL now know that he is dating Taylor Swift, even though that hadn't come together quite yet. And then, of course, they win that game, and it's the next week, which was the last time, interestingly enough, the Chiefs scored that many points against the Chicago Bears. And it was like, okay, this is the 2023 version of the Kansas City Chiefs. It took 3 games, guys. So now when we look at the 2025 Chiefs, it took 4 games. And now we should have a general idea as to what to expect, what they are capable of if they play up to their potential, if they are well executing, if they're not shooting themselves in the toes. If Jawan Taylor, revenge game, guys, it's been a big week for Jawan Taylor. I mean, like,
it has, man.
It's been a great week for this man. I mean, absolutely dominate the Baltimore Ravens. No one says his name during the game. He does not talk to reporters because he's got bigger things to do. And then he wakes up 2 days later and is like, it's Jacksonville week. It's revenge week. I mean, who knows? This might be the turning point in the season, because it might be the turning point in Jawan Taylor's career, life. Who knows? Anyway, we now know what to expect. And I think that has to be comforting for the players, for the coaching staff, and hopefully for everybody listening, watching, for the fans. You should go into this game feeling confident that the Chiefs know who they are. And that is a much better feeling than, hey, I don't know, guys. The Eagles are pretty good and talented. And, oh, my God, can we please beat the Giants on the road for once in our franchise's history? That's where you guys were 2 weeks ago. Let's not forget that. Mitch Holthus was terrified. I shouldn't say terrified. But Mitch Holthus was a little eerie because he's like, guys, I don't think you understand. We've never won here ever against the Giants. And so he was spooked. I should say he was understandably spooked.
He had to look, man. I don't know. You don't end up on the road against your NFC opponents very often. He's trying to check off his own bingo card. How have I not called a win here yet? I've been doing this for a long damn time.
For 30 years, yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned the identity thing.
35 years? Yeah,
something like that. I'm glad you mentioned the identity thing in particular, because that's also something that, like, Matt Nagy talked about. I think it was in week 2 and 3, going into those games, when he talked about, like, trying to find that identity. And on some level, I understood, people who were like having a negative emotional reaction to a team with Patrick Mahomes not knowing what their identity is. But your offensive identity can't be, we have Patrick Mahomes. Like, that's a great fact, but it's not an identity. And now you've seen a little bit of that against the Ravens, against a team that, obviously, we've talked about all their defensive issues, but you're seeing going with Xavier Worthy back out there again. And it's going to be if you have any doubt about the Ravens defense, the Chiefs offense, here you go. You get the Jacksonville Jaguars this week as a really fascinating test. So we'll talk about them in just a moment. But first, I'm calling all Chiefs fans. Do I have you all? Are you all here? You got to all be here by now, right? You could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll take a break, come back, and start previewing the Jags.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned to what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home, because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise, because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity. because you won't be disappointed, and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
Now we both started looking at the Jags a little bit here and trying to figure out what they bring. They're 3-1. They're right there with the 3-1 Indianapolis Colts at the top of the AFC South, just like we all drew it up in the preseason. I think there are a couple of things that are obviously unbelievable about this Jags team so far, and then some things maybe just a little bit under the surface that 3-1 doesn't really show off. Let's start with the defense, though, since I just kind of teased that. It's 3 turnovers a game, 3 takeaways a game is what the Jags have done. They're the first team in a very long time to do that, and they're doing it. They've created turnovers at a crazy clip. They've also done it against the Panthers, Bengals, Texans, and 49ers. 4 struggling offensive units there in various sorts. They lost to the Bengals in week 2. How real is that? How much are you putting on the Jags defense as opposed to their opponent there? And then the Chiefs are just, knock on wood, don't tweet me this clip on Monday night if the Chiefs have 3 turnovers. But the Chiefs have not given the ball away this year. The interception on Patrick Mahomes' resume is Travis Kelce's little bump set. So we know what the turnovers look like. This is not a team turning the ball over. It is a Jags team taking the ball away. What happens on Monday?
Yeah, this is great because what we've at least seen through 4 weeks is that Jacksonville is opportunistic. So if you give them a chance, they will take it. And I think that's something that Liam Cohen deserves a lot of credit for, because not only did they obviously draft Travis Hunter, but they have to improve. They have players who could play that they needed clear improvement. And so from that coaching staff, that has been very clear that you can see these guys tackle pretty well. They're opportunistic. They don't make a ton of mistakes. So for Jacksonville, I think a lot of their questions on defense are, you're going to have to earn it. And will the Chiefs be willing to be efficient, to be perhaps a little bit more methodical than even what we've seen the last, couple weeks? Because I know, and we all know, Mahomes wants to throw the ball deep. It'll be really interesting to see how much Jacksonville can try to keep Xavier Worthy contained, which might lead to more Tyquan Thornton or vice versa. And then, of course, if you are not getting turnovers, how else are you getting stops? The easiest way to get stops against the Chiefs is still probably through the youngish offensive line, particularly on the left side. That's how New York got stops, was mostly through pressure. And that is where Jacksonville's probably going to have to be most successful if they don't get turnovers. I wish that we would make this a unilateral decision. Patrick Mahomes should have 0 interceptions next to his name. Travis Kelce should have 1 interception to his name. We live in such advanced statistics. I love Next Gen Stats. True Media is a wonderful resource. You want to give me the mouse voice again one more time, Josh?
For True Media, is that who I'm endorsing?
No, for ESPN Stats, Info, and Research Department.
Okay, yeah. You know what I love? ESPN Stats, Info, and Research.
It's a great tool because what I learned from Mr. Mouse is that the Chiefs not only blitzed Lamar Jackson higher than usual, but the success rate was historic within the context of Lamar Jackson's career, right? So this is via the mouse, via our own stats, info, research department. The Chiefs, I don't think we talked about this on Tuesday's show, but the Chiefs pressured Lamar Jackson on 15 of his 27 dropbacks. This is before the injury, of course.
That's more than half, folks.
Yes, that is the highest pressure rate, 56%, that he has faced in a game where he has had at least 10 dropbacks, which means he didn't come in the game late during his rookie season and or he wasn't hurt and missed the game. He played the majority of the game. Jackson's 2 turnovers, his interception and his fumble, both occurred when he was under duress. So that gives you the Chiefs game plan for Jacksonville. If they were so successful against Lamar Jackson, There is a argument to be made that Trevor Lawrence gets a little frantic against the blitz. We saw that, a few years ago in that AFC divisional round playoff game in 22. And it really hasn't improved much. So I love that this is a proper litmus test for both of these teams, right? The Chiefs actually get a fully functional, breathing, opportunistic defense, which was not the case against the Ravens, even though they got Xavier Worthy back. And for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm going to say a statement, Josh, that I don't think people realize. This will be the best running back that the Chiefs have played thus far this season. He is not named Saquon Barkley. He is not named Derrick Henry. Travis Etienne is the best running back on tape, in advanced stats, in actual, traditional stats that the Chiefs have faced all year.
That's fun. I like that take. He's explosive. He's a blast, and you can't. I'll tell you, rewatching Chiefs Ravens, especially early, because then the Ravens start kind of getting away from it, which was fine by me. So that one early tackle from Shamari Connor, where it is unbelievable. I think I sent you guys a picture. But basically, here, backstory. I figured out, obviously, I probably could have done. I should have done this last year. I figured out I can just put the all 22 on my TV because the ESPN or the woohoo, we wish the NFL. Well, you know what? Hey, you guys are all under the same umbrella now, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're good. We're good.
We're all one entity.
Shield. So I was sending my dollar in the right direction here anyway. And the God, I did it again. The NFL like smart TV app, you can go through it. It's got, you can watch the condensed game or the all 22, whatever. Now the NFL Pro thing on desktop, when you can like sort by plays and do your playlists and stuff like that. That's unbelievable. It's so good.
I mean, talk about. If Red Zone's cocaine, that is. Say it one more time, Josh, real slow for the audience. The functionality. What was that on desk? Okay, not every day I need to get on my desktop, but tell me why I got to get on my desktop. Say it real slow.
You're on your desktop. You open up your browser. You click that tab. You open up NFL Pro Plus Premium for big film ball knowers. And you can go in and you can search by player and just see all of their plays, or the player in situation and see all of these players in these situations. You can go offense, defense, special teams, O-line, D-line, kicker, quarterback, wide receiver, running back. You can have a playlist and just get all those suckers lined up, bang, 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 bang.
Now,
it's all there
ladies and
for
gentlemen. No one clipped what I'm about to say next. Tucker, be ready. What Josh just told you, and what I'm about to compare it to, is something we all have to go through in our young adult lives. Okay, young adult lives. It's the moment. If I think Red Zone is like cocaine because it never stops, we just keep going. He broke an ankle, fuck him, next snap somewhere else in the country, right? It feels like I'm on drugs. People have literally said that about watching Red Zone. So that's cocaine for football, big ball knowers, like Josh said. Ladies and gentlemen, what Josh just
said it?
Something like that. Big ball knowers. For what Josh just alluded to, and I've done it on desktop. Okay. Now remember, take your phone away, put the iPad down, get to your desktop, because there was a time, kids of a certain age, as a young adult, man or woman, where you found there were certain websites that would give you anything to its specificity. Anything. Now, I hope people are understanding what I've compared it to on desktop. Get on your desktop and you can get what category, what player, what scenario, what situation. I'm sorry, this is real. This is on the internet. on desktop?
Tucker, I need your help. I left the screen so thorough that I'm stuck. Thank you. I don't know what happened. I couldn't get my video back. I hit so many buttons to get off the screen that I disappeared. I briefly put you on screen by accident.
Then you grow up, you mature, you leave that life behind. You actually start talking to people. You actually start watching football games in person. You actually start conversing with folks. You leave that behind.
Watching football games in person.
You leave that life behind. Okay,
you're lazy.
But there was a moment
ever.
There's a moment where we got to step away. Now get to the desktop, but there's got to be a moment where you got to realize I got to go back to work. I got to pick up the kids. I got to go see some friends. I got to go touch grass. Okay, I got to get off the desktop. But beforehand, just get on the desktop and take it for a spin. It's pretty great for big bald knowers.
So I was watching the All-22 on my TV, and I was just really swept up by the artistry of that one play. The Ravens just blocked it up absolutely perfectly, and it was like an Oklahoma drill. It was just Derrick Henry, Shamari Connor, in like 8 yards of space, and Shamari Connor made the tackle, and it was remarkable. And that came to mind, and everything that followed in the last several minutes of this show were all sparked by the fact that I think Travis Etienne's probably housing that one. Like Derrick Henry's running through you, but Etienne's probably taking that angle of getting around Connor and putting a little move on. He might be scoring on that one.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's all I would say if I was Dave Muir and Steve Spagnuolo. Boys, you better take the right angles, because he will house this thing if you don't. Because the 49ers learned it the hard way on Sunday. Go watch his runs against the 49ers. It's sickening.
It's a fun like comparison though to Saquon and Derrick Henry and guys who the Chiefs have had real success against specifically yes. Saquon and Derrick Henry, like multiple game sample sizes here. And my theory, I guess, is that the Chiefs defensive backs don't tackle like defensive backs. Like they tackle like light linebackers, like typically if you arrive, you're at least going to see them get enough of a hand on the big bulky running backs to take the edge off of their ability to just truck the next guy. And then the second guy comes in and you're able to bring him down if it's not a one-on-one just great play like what Connor was able to do. But even then, like, I think Brian Cook came in and cleaned that one up after Connor kind of got him to break down a little bit. You don't have a chance to recover on an angle with Etienne, or to play that sort of slower game of like, let me just get in the way, and then 2 or 3 of my friends are going to get here, and we're all going to tackle Derrick Henry. So I think that's fascinating. Also, the thing that I have already found myself, really until this week, I wasn't sure where I landed on the Jags passing game, and hearing people talk more about it this week has been very helpful. Because you see 3-1, and you think about how good Brian Thomas Jr. was last year, and you think about them adding Travis Hunter, and you go, man, like their passing game must be the reason they're 3-1. It's not. And Liam Cohen seems to have his stuff together. Like he seems to be legitimate. Like I'd be buying his stock right now at this point, and I have nothing against Robert Saleh. That has nothing to do with it. But you look at their passing offense and you go, well, there are these weird moments with Brian Thomas Jr. and is he like alligator arming stuff? And I think he has the lowest catch percentage of a receiver over a certain threshold of target, because they're not all drops, but they're all offline. Trevor is not playing particularly excellent football right now, even though I kind of bought the idea of like, hey, give him Liam Cohen and let's see if you get the best version of Trevor Lawrence. I'm not sure we have to this point. So that's kind of fascinating too.
And Baker Mayfield's still balling out here, guys. I know he had some rough moments against the Eagles, but again, that's arguably the most talented roster in all of football. So like, but for the first 3 weeks, like, the biggest question was, because I remember Canales getting some of that when he went to Carolina, but I thought, and I know if Seth was here, he would say it even with even more emphasis. Like what Liam Cohen did last year for Tampa Bay's offense was truly masterful. Truly. No, I don't care. Like I don't care. Go get that guy. Like I don't care if it's like a limited sample size or if it's only 1 year. Like, I'm sorry, Todd Bowles, I gotta go take that job because like that's how good he was. So I was very interested to see, especially with the Travis Hunter intrigue and element to this, that like, man, how much is Liam Cohen gonna cook it up? Is he gonna be like, I'm not saying it was gonna look the same stylistically, but was he gonna have like a similar impact that like Mike McDaniel had when he first got to Miami, where you're just like, oh, I see it now, and this is I've seen the vision. This is awesome, you know. But it has not, for Liam so far, it really has not translated into that. It's more just, again, opportunistic, complimentary football. Trevor, don't bleep us. It's basically how he's been coaching that offense.
I think this was in a Athletic Football Show episode where somebody mentioned like, yeah, we're kind of still talking about Trevor Lawrence like we're talking about Drake May, where it's like year 2, new head coach, figure it out, you know. And like Trevor's on a $40 million contract now. This is not year 2 for Trevor Lawrence. Here's something that I just don't think most people are going to be able to guess. So play along at home here if you want. Who is leading the Jacksonville Jaguars in receptions and yards as a receiver?
I don't want to. It's a great
it's not
question.
who you think. It's not the other guy who you think. And it's also not the next guy I would have guessed. It's tight end Brenton Strange. He has 19 catches for 182 yards on 23 targets. He's catching most of what comes to him. Brian Thomas Jr. on the year has 32 targets and 12 receptions. That is 20 non-receptions. Travis Hunter has 13 catches on 21 targets. He has one more catch. I was going to say that Travis Hunter hasn't gotten super involved in the offense. Like, he's not your number one kind of guy. But he actually has more catches than BTJ at this point, so do what you will with that. And then De'Ami Brown, I just remember liking out of college, and he was kind of a fun, like, Chiefs projection. So he's another name that you'll keep in mind. And then, obviously, Etienne and Tootin out of the backfield are, like, a pretty interesting, promising duo, where obviously Etienne's kind of the lead guy there by a pretty heavy margin. But it's just it's a group of offensive players that would scare you in a vacuum. And I think we kind of agree that they at least made the right bet on the head coach, an offensive-minded guy who's trying to maximize it. But something in the Trevor Lawrence BTJ combo, something in there is at Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison levels of weird and not quite right. And I don't know how that's going to materialize here.
Interestingly enough, guys, Trevor Lawrence has only been sacked 3 times. So this is not like this is not the Bengals offensive line that got Joe Burrow hurt. You know, so again, I think you can pressure Trevor Lawrence into making skittish throws or questionable decision making. You know, he's thrown 4 interceptions on the year, so he's got a 5 touchdown, 4 interception rate. Not great. But again, they've gotten 13 takeaways, man. They're living right on the other side of the ball, which clearly helps the offense. This is great because they're at home. It's prime time. They're the only game on. This could be, and I don't want to get too much into this, but like I understand why, like, hey, this could be a pretty cool moment early in the Liam Cohen era. Because of all the guys you named that we know are talented. So we know everybody on that lineup is talented. It just, for whatever reason, hasn't come together. Here's Steve Spagnuolo and Chris Jones.
This is my last thing. Nate, you said you didn't want to get too much into it. This is the last thing that I kind of had on my mind. And maybe we'll talk about this more tomorrow on Everything Else, live at noon on the KCSN YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. This is not analysis about this particular matchup. This is a factual statement about history, okay? The Jacksonville Jaguars have never won this game. It's just not something they do. It's just not something they've done. I'm not saying it's something they'll never do. And this is, I do not, let me be clear, we'll talk about the reset next, but I'm not in a place where I'm saying the Chiefs are untouchable, they're going to win this game by 20, we're all going to be asleep in the third quarter, and we're all going to have a happy Tuesday.
Right.
I'm not there at all. I don't know what the spread is. I don't care. I assume it's a one-possession game and probably feels like it. Some of the stuff the Jags are doing is legit. If they don't have all these turnovers, they're not 3-1, and I don't think the Chiefs are going to turn the ball over 3 times. If they do, ball game.
Right.
But
correct.
Historically speaking, this is not a game the Jacksonville Jaguars have ever won.
Can I tell you?
Maybe it's too early for it to be that important, but like, good for Liam Cohen if they can. Huge for Trevor Lawrence if they can. This would be, and this is again, like, this is kind of a acknowledging the size of the pond you're in. This is acknowledging what you're trying to accomplish as a franchise. But if the Jags win this game, week 5 of the NFL season, but on Monday Night Football with the new coach and the quarterback that hasn't quite gelled yet, whatever, if they go out there and they beat the Chiefs, and now all of a sudden the conversation is back to, are the Chiefs actually good? But look at those pesky 4-1 Jags.
Mm-hmm.
That is as high of a collective watermark as I think the Jacksonville Jaguars have had in a very long time, if they get there.
Kids, I'm going to give you a quick history lesson of the Jacksonville Jaguars real quick. To Josh's point, they've never won this game. That's because this game is in the regular season. Now, if they win, and I know Tom Lester, I'm going to get to it. If the Jags win, they should celebrate like the 2021 Baltimore Ravens. Still, the only win in the Patrick Mahomes era. That was week 2 on a Sunday night. And I was there, guys. The whole stadium acted like it won the Super Bowl. And I was like, you know what? I love every second of this because you should celebrate. The game is supposed to be fun. It's a silly sport where the ball isn't round and you don't have Patrick Mahomes. You should be celebrating that Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled the ball. The history of the Jacksonville Jaguars is they actually get more friskier as the season moves on. So, to Tom Lester's point, yes, Mark Brunell, one of the most underrated quarterbacks of my lifetime that I absolutely love, because he went into Mile High and they beat the vaunted Denver Broncos during the Mike Shanahan era. For whatever reason, the killer bees of the Pittsburgh Steelers era died by the hands of Blake Bortles and one of the greatest defenses in Jacksonville in 2017. Guys, they were 10 minutes. We as a society was 10 minutes away from Blake Bortles playing in the bleeping Super Bowl. And then Tom Brady was like, okay, come on now, guys. Come on, focus. So like Jacksonville's had some great moments in the postseason. The reason we give so much bleep to Justin Herbert is, come on, dog. They gave you how big of a lead? How big? Right. How big of a lead? And again, the Jags walked them down, and that's probably the best victory in that stadium's history. That was Super Wild Card Weekend a couple years ago. The next week they lost to the Chiefs. Okay, so there's your history of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Great point in the chat. From Ronson Trait, we should be having Louis Rees-Zammit on the other sideline of this game. If he hadn't gone back to personal funds
I will send personal funds to bring him home into my bosom,
or at least I would pay personal funds for him to just, maybe he's like a two-way player in all the international games. We're just like, so whenever teams are playing internationally, he's your wild card. You can just tag LRZ in for like a kick return or a couple plays here or there, have him switching uniforms back and forth.
Yeah, fourth quarter handoff.
Let him change on the sidelines, What? Let's take a break.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's why I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
Chiefs Kingdom, I have got a question for you. What is your favorite touchdown? Well, for me, I can confidently say that my favorite touchdown It's the next one, because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. From the first touchdown score to anytime touchdown props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. From spreads to money lines, same-game parlays, regular parlays, you want it, DraftKings has got it. Here's the best part. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. I use DraftKings Sportsbook, and you should too. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum minus 500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
All right, Nate, let's look forward in a slightly different way here for the Chiefs. We'll spend a few minutes here, and then I want to let you talk about your still relatively new story about Steve Spagnuolo. It came out before the Ravens game, but I think it came out on Friday, and we didn't have the show till Tuesday, and then Tuesday was obviously quite full. A really delightful story that we'll talk about later on. But I do think it's kind of an interesting exercise to take where the Chiefs are at right now, 2-2, and to think partially, I guess you can make this like, AFC West and AFC seeding standpoints, but also just like what you expect them to get done the rest of the way here. A week in, it's a surprising loss in Brazil. 0-2, oh boy, nothing matters except for getting victories.
Sky's falling.
The Giants, sky is on the ground. Week 3, beat the Giants. Okay, the sky doesn't get any lower yet, but it's not really moving back up just yet. Beat the Ravens, sky's back in the sky. We're feeling better. Right now, just a couple noteworthy things around the league. The Chargers still in first in the AFC West, but the Chiefs are right there, one game behind them. I guess a game and a half because of the head-to-head. But weirdly, The Chargers lost as a common opponent that they have. We're way down. We're way down a tiebreaker rabbit hole there. But the Steelers, Colts, and Jags are all 3-1, and then the Buffalo Bills.
I don't trust
are 4-0.
any of them yet.
No, I don't either. The Buffalo Bills at 4-0, I do think I mostly trust because they play in the UFL division, which I think is a really nice perk for them. But what do you make now when I do ask you to reset where the Chiefs go from here? Like it's not 0-0 because other teams are better than 2-2, but from a relatively stable point here now, where Xavier Worthy has returned and looked like himself, where Rashee Rice is a couple games away from being back, where do the Chiefs look right now in terms of short-term success, long-term success? How do you kind of hit this reset button here on a slightly longer week for the team?
Right. And in the Old Testament, kids, we would be at the quarter mark, but we now play 17 of these games. So, this is kind of like this fifth game will kind of, in my mind, be the quarter because of how weird the way the season started, and because you now realize, because it's not like it was a year ago, even though receivers were also getting hurt at this time, including Rashee Rice, and then Juju Smith-Schuster's hamstring snapped, and they had to go trade for DeAndre Hopkins. They were still undefeated, guys. So that 17th game felt more and more irrelevant as the season was moving along because the Chiefs were always at the top of the poll on the AFC standings. Well, now because you've had such a weird start, that 17th game feels quite relevant right now in terms of like what we think will be playoff seeding. We'll see what happens. The midway point of the season, and we're going to abbreviate this. We're going to adjust this accordingly. We're going to make we're going to make an amendment to the real football constitution, because it starts earlier this year when the Chiefs do go to Buffalo in early November. So we're just gonna amend that for a few weeks, because I guess real football is Thanksgiving, but they play the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, and who the hell knows what's going on with the Cowboys at that time. It's all fascinating, and because the 17th game is important now, I think the 5th game is a real quarter mark, and then we can take the traditional route 4 games at a time moving forward. This will matter for seeding purposes because I think I have more faith in the Jaguars than the Colts. The Chiefs will play both of those teams, of course. So there's some comfort in that the Chiefs will have a chance to have maybe the tiebreaker over both of those teams if they get wins over both of them. The Broncos winning on Monday night was important to them because they also stay in the race, even though they have not looked impressive. And man, can the Chiefs put the Bengals on their schedule because they appear to be homecoming for
No kidding, man.
They appear to be homecoming. So unlucky for the Chiefs, they're not going to get that on their schedule compared to some of the teams in the AFC. The Chargers are the team that most Chiefs fans should watch. One of the funnier moments today during the press conferences was Patrick saying, yes, I was aware that the Chargers were not winning in MetLife Stadium because we were warming up to play our game against Baltimore. And when the Chargers lose, that makes me happy. That quote, soundbite, image. But thanks, Patrick. He's like, yeah, whenever they lose, I feel great. And he said it in like a tongue-in-cheek, blank face kind of manner. And it was just like, yeah, I saw it on the scoreboard. And then I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, cool. Good for them. It's just like, wow. All right. You don't usually hear that from the starting quarterback on any press conference of any kind. The Chiefs will not get the Steelers this season. So can a 42-year-old hold up for a 17-game season? That's really all it comes down to, because Mike Tomlin, as we all know, wakes up out of bed and immediately wins 9 games. Just
every morning.
So the question is, okay, how many? What are the bonus wins for that particular season based on whoever the hell is his quarterback, not named Ben Roethlisberger? So we'll see. But hey, winning on Monday against Jacksonville will sort of reestablish the Chiefs as perhaps that number 2, number 3 team in the AFC, depending on what the Chargers do. The Bills look to be, excellent. Like, they look awesome. Now, don't ask me who they played. That doesn't matter right now, okay? The Chargers are getting Jaden Daniels, a Jaden Daniels version of the Commanders. So, who knows? There's a chance that the Chiefs could wake up in Jacksonville on Monday knowing that they could be in somewhat of a quote-unquote tie if the Commanders beat the Chargers on Sunday. And if that happens, then, hey, you're kind of restarting the year with an understanding that the Chargers will have to come to Arrowhead and, you're not totally behind in the AFC West race the way you thought you could, after the first 2 weeks of the season.
Right, because through the first 2 weeks, you're able to do a little bit of projecting for LA and go, oh, the AFC West could be not over, but out of hand, like by week 6. I mean, that was very much on the table there, and this is not an accurate fraction, and this is another instance of it's a Tuesday on a Friday or whatever. But I kind of, for the Chiefs' perspective, I kind of want to do this again after week 6. For me, the first quarter of the season might be week 6.
The pre-Rasheed Rice era, yeah.
And so I kind of think
it's
you can almost you splice this into 2-3 game chunks.
Yeah, right. That's a great point, because it's not BC,
right?
But it is before Rice,
right? And you had before Worthy in a way that we didn't expect them to have to deal with from the third play of the season into the Ravens game, but you have those 3 games of just like everything's on fire offensively. What can you get done, and how good can the defense be? And which started off with one game of the defense kind of being on fire, not in a good way. And then you build that back up. You get Worthy stepping in, and suddenly you start to see the picture a little bit. Again, we'll kind of keep doing this as we go because it's going to be an interesting exercise. I do feel like they've got to be, I don't know if they're talking about it. It's week 4.5 right now. They've got to be thinking about the AFC West, and not that they ever stopped thinking about it. Not that 0-2, they went, well, it's time for a wild card run because it's early. It's, was September at the time. But I do think that you have to look around and go, all right, the Chargers do appear to still be the Chargers on some level here. Talk about teams that just never win that game. Like every version of the Chargers goes to New York and loses to the Giants. Like, and they should absolutely win it and be 4-0. They should be there at the top of the AFC, and instead now it feels like the Chiefs are ahead of them in the AFC West standings, even though they're very much not. And then get through Jags and Lions, where again, right now, it's funny because at 0-2, this did not seem plausible. It seems like the Chiefs have every chance to be 4-2 when Rashee Rice comes back. And I'm telling you, if it's 3-3, I'm okay with it. If it's 3-3 and then Rashee Rice comes back and he does to the offense what Xavier Worthy did on Sunday in terms of how much it elevates you as a unit, and this is a totally different football team. It's a totally different, not just a different offense, a different football team because of how it allows you to operate totally differently, knowing that you have enough weapons and enough time for Patrick Mahomes and a defense that can win you football games when it's on them to win it, when they can overachieve and have the game they had against the Ravens.
Right. And an offensive line that has already shown that it can make incremental progress throughout the course of the year. The way Kingsley Suamataia and Josh Simmons looked in a foreign land is not the version that we're going to see Monday night against Jacksonville, who has pretty good edge rushers. Again, so it's a great litmus test to see just how far that side of the roster has come. But I don't think the offensive line is going to be, again, if they stay together and everybody stays healthy, so they can actually have some growth along the way. They're going to have pretty sizable growth. That's something that Trey Smith talked about today at his press conferences. Just give us a mindset. This was in like the framework of Kingsley, but give us a mindset of just how much as a rookie, if you were Josh Simmons or, hey, changing to a new position for the first time, full-time like Kingsley, how much you learned, how much you experienced, what you went through, like how much improvement you had from week 1 to like the rest of the season. And basically, which is crazy to say because he was talented coming into the league, but Trey Smith basically said, I didn't really feel that comfortable until we were in the playoffs of my rookie season. Yeah. And you go, wow, that's a lot of games to get just a little bit better along the way to where you feel comfortable with like who you are as a player and how you, in his words, how my role fits the rest of the offense to help the rest of the offense. And that's from a right guard, guys.
Right.
So, for any young players, particularly in Kingsley and Josh's standpoint, what they gain in Sao Paulo matters, what they gain Monday night in Jacksonville matters, because that's the first primetime game on the road against an actual functioning team, not the New York Giants, even though the Giants have a very good pass rush. So the Jags have a pretty good pass rush. So, yeah, I think we're trying to give everybody proper perspective. Like, if they win this game, then they are clearly trending not only in the right direction, but they're becoming the team that we knew and expect them to be. It just took a little longer than anticipated. If they lose, well, hey, now you have a much better understanding for where the team might be when Rashee Rice comes back.
Let's go back to the defensive side here, and we can kind of wrap up on this topic where you've got this piece on ESPN.com. You tweeted it out again recently if people missed it through the first time. Steve Spagnuolo, second baseman, hockey player, quarterback. People who enjoy this show probably enjoy Steve Spagnuolo, and if you enjoy Steve Spagnuolo, you need to just go read this story. It's really, really fun. But Nate, if there's anything from the story you want to repeat now, feel free to tease it however you want. But I was just curious reading through it. if you had anything that either didn't make the cut or what it was like reporting this story out, because you got to ask a bunch of Chiefs defenders what it was like to watch some of Steve Spagnuolo's black and white high school football highlights, and it seemed like the vibes of this story had to be delightful.
Yeah. This was something that I had been working on for a little bit of time. I'm so glad that you framed it correctly. Like this was supposed to be a fun story because I don't know how many people know it. And I had sort of been kind of talking through it with some guys even last season. So this is one of those stories that I really couldn't get to last year that I wanted to sort of see if it could happen this year. And I just had a wonderful time talking with Steve Spagnuolo just about understanding what his version of quarterback was, guys, which again is 1976, 1977 wishbone option football. And at one point I said to Spags, I was like, oh, so this is like Remember the Titans? And he was like, oh yeah. And I was like, yeah. And again, this is not in the story, although I do reference it because Disney, a Disney film. But it was like oh, so you were like Sunshine. We're like, but in like the reverse, like he, Steve could throw the ball, but he's like, I wasn't the big strapping gunslinger, just, ripping that thing through the middle of the field, but I could deliver the ball on time. And so what we gonna need you to do is learn how to pitch this thing over and over. So one of the great parts about it is him just talking about how he would be on a field by himself, kind of like Sunshine, learning how to pitch the football. And then he got so good at it that he led his team to the state championship game as a junior. And I think they only lost one game during his senior season. And so there's funny moments where, during some of the install periods, he still runs the option at his advanced age of 65 years old.
In a story full of things where they had great details, I think that might be my favorite. Like, he's just back there at quarterback, so we can like see how it's going. Sorry, I interrupted you telling the story of how you made this story.
No, go ahead.
I want to talk about your story. Like we talked about last week how like Lamar Jackson just looked uncomfortable and how he makes quarterbacks uncomfortable, and you use the word comfort in the story of like, yeah, he kind of likes to get over there from the quarterback perspective and think like, would I be uncomfortable if this was getting run against me? Like I just
show me the disguise again, like crazy.
Right. I'm gonna look and see if you're giving away a blitz. I'm gonna know it from here. And then also somewhere in the midst of the story, you see him, hugging Chris Jones after a Super Bowl, and Chris Jones is a man taller than him, a man bigger than him. You know what I mean? Like, you just have this gigantic game wrecker and his former quarterback, future Hall of Fame in my book, one of the most decorated defensive coordinator of all time, is just in there looking up at him.
Yes. Yeah, he's the most decorated defensive coordinator in NFL history, kids. There is a legitimate argument that Steve Spagnuolo should be the first coordinator to ever be enshrined in the Hall of Fame. And he got his start playing quarterback, guys. Playing quarterback. And so some people would say, well, okay. And this was one of the fun things for me is like, well, how did this happen? How did this metamorphosis, transformation happen, right? How did you go from, Catapri to Butterfree? How'd you do that?
Ooh,
and
hell yeah, let's go.
What
was your cocoon?
I know, right? And so it happened during his college years when he was coming up in college. And I would think, okay, maybe he went from, he was quarterback in high school, receiver in college. Okay, that just means you just slid back to you just slid to the next room with the defensive backs. That's where you got what? No, your first job was as a D-line coach, huh? What? Like it just seems so odd to me that he's like, yeah, I started coaching defensive linemen, then I started coaching linebackers, then I started coaching DBs, then I got to the NFL. And so he kind of went the inverse of what I would expect from a guy who played an offensive skill position player to go from offense to defense. So yeah, there's a lot of twists and turns in his career that are really interesting. And one thing that didn't get in the story, because it wouldn't have gotten in, there was no place to really put it and there was no need. It took me a while to get the photos and to get clearance for us to use the photos. So like, it's actually not on the website, but one of the reasons why I wanted to repost the story was because like, look at this man, look at him on the edge with the ball breaking tackles to where Leo Chenal says he probably was Kyler Murray. And I was just like, come on. What a quote. What a quote. So what a quote from Leo Chenal. What a quote.
Multi-sport athlete.
Yep. So he knew where I was going, obviously. And but I did not think Kyler Murray was coming out of his mouth. Where I was like, what do you think it would have been like to tackle him? Well, based on what I see, he might have had some Kyler Murray to him. I'm sorry, what? What? Anyway, the last thing is we're talking about the photos and like, okay, how do these guys see this black and white stuff? Like how, like you got to dig up tape, man. That's tough from the 70s. And he was like, well, yeah, like it was partly his sister, it was partly Maria, his wife, and they're going through it. And he's like, back in the day, my dad just had this thing. It's like you had to do it through the projector. You had to get an actual projector. And we used to have this thing. It was like you used to put it in. We used to have the slides, and then you'd click a slide and it'd go to one photo. It's like, oh yeah, that's where we were on the beach. And click another slide. Oh, that's when I played hockey. Click another slide. That's my sister doing whatever. Click another slide. That's my that's me playing quarterback. Click another slide. Hey, that's my high school coach. And I wanted to stop him so badly in the interview. And I was like, sir, what you're describing, are you Don Draper right now? Are you describing the carousel? You had a Polaroid carousel? You had one of them? You had one of the carousels? You used to click that thing? You had the wheel? You had one of those? I wanted to stop for so much and to be like, stop, forget football. You had one of them? You had one of them? You had one of them? Kodak? You had the Kodak carousel? Word? So it was fun. It was a really fun time, and I hope people enjoy the story. And I got black and white photos that are on my Twitter and Blue Sky accounts. Kids, you should go look at them. He's running with the football. He's I mean, you want to talk about intensity? Whew, there's a picture of him in a helmet just giving it to somebody. These are really good images, by the way, for 1977.
I'm going to see how big I can print them out and just replace my entire backdrop with those by Tuesday's show. Final bit of housekeeping here, and it brings me no pleasure to report this, but like all the greats, sometimes you got to take responsibility for your mistakes in front of an audience. And as soon as I said it, I knew it was wrong. I apologize profusely. Obviously, the middle evolution between Caterpie and Butterfree is Metapod, not Kakuna. That's the middle evolution between Weedle and Beedrill. I was thinking about the word cocoon, and Kakuna is right there. Obviously. And so that's how the mistake happened. That's not why the mistake happened. The mistake happened because I wasn't good enough today, and I'm gonna go get my badges out. I'm gonna go hit the gyms, and I'm gonna go crush some bug gyms until I get the order back. Really, like, not only just devastating to make that mistake here in a recorded medium, really tough for a pair of Gen 1 bugs. I could have definitely built an excuse for some of the later gens, who really remembers the middle evolution of the later ones. This one really stinks. I'm going to go ahead and, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and suspend myself for the remainder of this show. Nate, you can go ahead and get us out of here. I'm going to go break out my DS, my 3DS, my Switches all at the same time, and I'm not gonna watch Thursday Night Football tonight. Instead, I'm gonna go into the gym and I'm gonna start crushing bugs. Again, I'd like to apologize to my God and family.
Yeah, Caterpie and Butterfree are two of my favorite Pokemon. Of the original gangsters. Okay, guys, I'm gonna say this real quick. This has nothing to do with football. Miss Kathy gotta go. She done lost the room. She done lost the league.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Miss Kathy gotta go.
Sorry, I'm suspended for this part, but that she's the commissioner of the WNBA.
When I now realize who the commissioner of the WNBA is, and then look it up and go, oh no, and then they're like, well, don't worry, she still got Caitlin Clark in the bag. No, she don't. How does she still have a job? Hey, Miss Kathy, how you got a job? you got to step aside. These women are not making nearly enough money for your bullshit. Sorry, Mr. Mouse. You got to go. Get her up out of here. Get her up out of here. I know the commissioner of the National Women's Soccer League for doing actual commissioner stuff. Not you, Kathy. I've never seen a star athlete be like, here's 4 minutes of me absolutely smoking our commissioner. And then everybody being like, she ain't wrong. What? Who this woman? I had to look her up. Who this woman? Oh, no. Oh, no. Kathy, gotta go. Gotta go. But hey, looking forward to that WNBA finals. Dang, I wish the Fever would have won.
I don't feel like I can call for anybody's job who probably knows the difference between Kakuna and Metapod.
Get on that ash, catch him.